Heels off, game on. 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 It's the game day diva theme song. Heels off, game on. It's the game day diva theme song. Make some noise if you ready for the stats. Make some noise if you ready for the chat. It's your game day diva.
Yes, it is your game day diva, the sports talk diva. Welcome to this episode of Heels Off, Game On. The heels are off. Let's get into it. Just wanted to touch bases once again. Always starting off with college football. It was a wild and crazy weekend of college football and the NFL. So, I always start off with my top 10. Once again, Ohio State still reigns supreme. No one's been able to knock them off of their throne, so they are the defending national champions. Let's see, as the season goes, what happens. But right now, they are still number one. In that number 2 spot, Miami is holding. They are looking pretty good. So you got Miami at 3. Miami's at 2. Oregon's at 3. Ole Miss is 4. Texas A&M is 5. Oklahoma is 6. Indiana is 7. Alabama is 8. Texas Tech is 9. And Georgia rounds out the top 10. Now, with those upsets, one of the biggest ones, two of the biggest ones, and I kept an eye on both of those games, was UCLA. Now, UCLA, mind you, was 0-4 and no wins. Okay, they had just fired their coach, played Penn State. Penn State comes in, of course, ranked, and they were ranked in the top 10. UCLA beat them. Okay, that dropped Penn State not just out of the top 10, they are out of the top 25. So not sure how fans are feeling about Penn State and James Franklin. I don't know if this is going to be his last year, if he can't take them over the top. I really don't know, but they did not look good. That was not supposed to happen, where you play UCLA, which is a bad team, guys. I mean, a bad team. They beat them. So, that was one of the biggest upsets in college football over the weekend. The other one was Florida over Texas. Yes, Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns. They are not looking like that team. They are not looking like they are going to do anything. Okay, so Florida, unranked team, not a really good team at all. But it didn't surprise me really that they got up for Texas and they beat Texas, because I don't think Texas really is a really good team. So that game didn't surprise me as much as the UCLA Penn State game. But nonetheless, it was an upset, okay? Which dropped Texas. Once again, they're not in the top 25. They're not top anything. They are not even ranked at this point. So that's how the committee is looking at them, and folks who do the polls and whatnot. They're not giving Texas any love at all. Illinois upset USC on a game that came down to a field goal. So they won it on a field goal. So Illinois actually upset USC. So there's some good games, some good matchups this weekend. So we'll see what happens. Of course, we still have a lot of football to be played. So, the polls are ever changing. And of course, my team, which I always talk about, is Clemson. And Clemson played UNC, North Carolina, which we all know. Bill Belichick is now the coach of North Carolina, and we spanked them pretty good. I think it was, I don't even know if I have that score recorded. It was like 38-3 or 35-3. I know it was pretty bad. They may have actually ended up scoring a touchdown. It may have been 38-10. I don't know. You can look that one up. All I know is that Clemson got the win. We did what we needed to do. We still have a long way to go, so I was, pleased with the win. But, UNC does not look good. Now, to the NFL. Oh, the NFL had some upsets as well. And one of the ones that I had was the Patriots going into Buffalo. That was a big game. I mean, they went into Buffalo, which is a tough place to play. You got all these screaming fans. It's sold out. Drake May and those guys looked good. They did what they needed to do, and they got the dub in Buffalo. So there were only 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. Buffalo was one. They went down. The other team was the Philadelphia Eagles. They played the Broncos. Once again, the Broncos went into Philly. So, I mean, these teams actually won going into their opponent's stadium. So the Broncos went into the Eagles stadium and they got the dub. So now the Eagles are no longer undefeated, which I didn't expect any team to go undefeated. So at some point, these teams were going to lose. So that's what happened in those games. Now, for me, I had some teams that I picked early on, maybe a little after preseason when the first week was getting ready to start and a little bit of preseason. I had some predictions as to who would take their division, and boy, I'm switching some things up about now. Once again, it's a little too early because things could very well change, but I'll start in the AFC, the AFC East. I had the Bills clearly taking the AFC East, and they still could. I mean, one loss is not going to be like, okay, well, they're not going to take the AFC East. They still could, but man, the Patriots look like they could make a good push. They could make a good push in that division, okay? The AFC North. Oh, man, for so long, I had the Ravens. The Ravens, oh, it's the Ravens, of course. Lamar Action Jackson is out. That defense is looking bad, like they're probably one of the worst in the NFL right now. So, they could come back. Once again, I still say it's early. But right now, the Steelers are at the top of that division. And, right now they're looking good. So we'll see what happens in that division. But I'm going to say I had the Ravens, but now I'm looking at potentially the Steelers taking that division unless, Lamar comes back healthy and that defense gets turned around, because they just look bad. They look really bad. The AFC South, that's a real tricky one there. I've got the Colts. I really do have the Colts potentially taking that division, but I think they'll get a strong push potentially by Jacksonville, the Jaguars. Watched that game last night. They came through against the Chiefs, and I think we all know that the Chiefs just aren't the team that they were a year or two ago when they were, in Super Bowl after Super Bowl. They just don't look like that team. They did the previous week, but last night they did not get the dub. And Jacksonville did. Jacksonville definitely has some work to do. But in the AFC South, I'm liking the Colts right now with the Jaguars to make a push. Okay? The AFC West, I actually had the Chiefs. And you know what? It still could be the Chiefs. But right now, I'm actually going to say that the Broncos may potentially take the AFC West with a strong push from the Chargers. The Chargers were looking like that team, and now they just kind of, sliding a little bit. Justin Herbert is just, I don't know what's going on with that offensive line. He's being rushed. So the Chargers, I'm gonna still put them up in there and making a push with the Broncos taking that division, and the Chiefs and the Chargers making a strong push. We'll see how it turns out. Of course, like I said, there's a lot of football to be played, so that's just where I'm at through week 5 right now. The NFC East, I'm going to stay with the Eagles. The Eagles, they do have a new OC, and, it's showing a little bit. I don't know, and I don't even know about that old line. They're not protecting Jalen Hurts the way he's used to being protected. Jalen's overthrowing AJ Brown and some other receivers. So, and I'm not sure they're not giving Saquon the ball enough. But I'm still going to say the Eagles will take the NFC East with a strong push from those Commanders. Jaden Daniels is back, and boy, I'll tell you, when he's back, he's a difference maker in any game. So look for the Commanders to make a push. And I guess we cannot forget about the Cowboys. I mean, they did win this past Sunday. They played the winless Jets, so I don't know yet. I got to see more of what the Cowboys will do, but I'm going to say the Eagles will still take the NFC East. The North, the NFC North, I had the Packers, and I think a lot of people had the Packers. And Green Bay had a bye this past weekend, so they're probably still looking like that team, and the team to take the North and maybe even represent the NFC and in the Super Bowl. Who knows? But I like them Lions. I really like those Lions. They lost their OC, and I mentioned this in other episodes. They lost their OC and they lost their DC. And I'll tell you, they have found their rhythm. They have found their groove. So that North, it could very well be the Lions. I don't know if I want to crown them yet, but I'm looking for the Lions to possibly take that division, and Green Bay being right up in there as well. The South, of course, my dirty birds. Although I feel like Tampa Bay is probably the better team, the best team in the NFC South right now, but I feel like we can take it. We can, we got to play them again. We lost to them the first game. I feel like we can go into Tampa Bay when we play them the second time and really show them what we have. And I feel like we can still come out on top of the NFC South. But the Bucs cannot rule them out. They've been that team. They've taken that division for the past few years. So NFC South, I'm definitely not going to go against my Falcons, but the Bucs, they are that team. The NFC West, I did have the Rams, and that could still very well hold true. Once again, lots of games to be played. But the Seahawks, they're making noise. And the 49ers, I mean, they are winning without their quarterback. They're winning without Brock Purdy. So, with that, I will say I'll still take the Rams, but I'll look for the Seahawks and the Niners to make a strong push. So that's where I'm at with my picks right now through week 5 with some of the divisions and whatnot. Actually, just a side note, the Titans, Tennessee got their first win this past Sunday. The Saints got their first win. Okay. So, good for them. But, I just did want to mention that as a side note. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the top defenses through week 5. Okay. And I was, when I was putting this list together, I was like, okay, I see you. I see you, Atlanta. But the top 5 defenses, and this is just through week 5, so it could change, but I like what Atlanta is doing on D. Right now, the top defenses are Cleveland, Atlanta, Green Bay, the 49ers, and Tampa Bay. Okay. Now, these numbers are, I'll give you the numbers in a minute, but these are based on total yards allowed per game. Okay, so fewest yards allowed. Cleveland is actually number one at 204.3 yards. Atlanta is 227.3. Green Bay is 232.3. 49ers is 265.7, and Tampa Bay is 272.8. Those are the top 5 defenses through week 5. And what I was really impressed with is that 2 of them are from our division. You got Atlanta and Tampa Bay. So 2 NFC South teams in the top 5 defenses through week 5. So go Dirty Birds. And actually, the Falcons defense, because I'm a Falcons fan, I like our young draft picks. I'll tell you, superstars in the making. I like what they are doing. Jalen Walker, our edge rusher. James Pierce, our edge rusher. Xavier Watts. That's a good one, okay? And then Billy Bowman. I like those 4 young, picks that we had in this year's draft, and they are going to be good. And obviously, through week 5, we got the second best defense in the league. So it's only going to get better, guys. So I like what we're doing in Atlanta. I love the picks. Let's see what happens there. Now, I want to go to, as I always do, my studs and my duds for this past weekend. And I noted here my studs. I always start out with the studs. I've got CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud had 4 touchdowns. 4 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 touchdowns for 244 yards. Dak, once again, Dak continues to be a stud. Okay, he actually could be in the running for MVP. So you know what? Stay tuned. Let's just see what he does. But Dak had 237 yards. He was 18 of 29, and he had 4 touchdowns and no picks, no interceptions at all. So Dak, this past weekend, once again, you are a stud. The other stud, this guy, and I've talked about him, and boy, what a threat he is, from Ohio State, the rookie out of Tampa Bay, Emeka Egbuka. Man, he is probably on pace to be the rookie of the year, like right now. And if the season were over, he would definitely be rookie of the year, and I think he will still end up being rookie of the year. 163 yards. The guy just catches balls and scores. He catches balls and scores. I mean, of course, that's what he's paid to do. And man, as a rookie, this guy has just been playing lights out. Love this guy. Okay, he's actually our rival because he's with Tampa Bay. But I always give credit where credit's due. And Emeka Egbuka, I mean, I'm telling you, he is a stud. All right. I'm going to say the other one is also Jared Goff with the Detroit Lions. Jared had 3 touchdown passes. Jared is coming on. So, Jared, you are a stud. The other one, Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs, you were my number one stud for this past weekend. You went in on this past Sunday night into your old team, into Buffalo, and y'all got the dub, and Stephon did his thing. So, Stephon, you are a stud. Now, for my duds, the guys that just did not really step up to the plate and do what they needed to do. So, for my duds, Washington Commanders, they won, but Zach Ertz, you were held without a catch. Zach, you are, this past weekend, you were a dud. I talked about this guy just last week and was talking about, oh, he's cooking. James Cook, you did not cook this past weekend for the Buffalo Bills, and this past weekend, you were a dud. Sticking with the Bills, their cornerback, Carlton Davis. Carlton, you were a dud. The other dud was Quentin Johnson. Did not, he had a fumble that was a game changer, that really changed the game. So Quentin Johnson, this past weekend, you were a dud. And then I'll just say the whole Jets team, not sure what's going on, Aaron Glenn, with your team. And I hope you're able to keep your job, but y'all got to get a win. That whole team, that whole Jets team, y'all were just duds this past weekend. So, hope y'all turn it around and get that dub at some point. Okay, so I'm going to shift a little bit to, just a quick update on the WNBA. The WNBA finals are going on right now. And if you all haven't been keeping up with it, the Las Vegas Aces are up 2-0 in that series. It's a 7-game series. Phoenix has, the last game, it was kind of a blowout. So I expect them to step up a little bit in game 3, which is actually tomorrow night on Wednesday. So 7-game series, Aces are up in that series 2-0. Okay, and then in Major League Baseball, touched on it a little bit on last week, and I'll continue to talk about it until we get to the finals and we have a champion, because of course last year's champion was the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are still holding on. But in the American League, you got the Tigers and the Mariners. That series is actually tied. It's been a pretty good series, guys. So that series is tied. You got the Yankees and the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have been blowing the Yankees out. Okay, it hasn't even been close. So the Blue Jays are up in that series 2-0. And then in the National League, you got the Dodgers and the Phillies. And the Dodgers are actually leading that series 2-0 as well. Once again, can they pull it out and end up taking back-to-back championships? So we'll see what happens there. The other series is the Cubs and the Brewers. The Brewers are actually leading that series 2-0. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we've got a little bit more baseball to play. So we'll do an update on that on next week. But until then, this is a wrap, guys, and I will catch you on the next episode. Until then, you all have a great week. Have a week of victory and success. Be blessed.